See that? That's me, doing studies inside of an art museum, and therefore becoming unstoppably powerful extremely quickly. Here's how you too can become unstoppably powerful extremely quickly. I'm Noelle, your new favorite illustrator, and today, we are going on a little field trip to an art museum because one of the fastest ways to improve at art is to do studies. And doing studies in person is even more effective. I refused to do it for years because the concept of being perceived kinda makes me wanna astral project into a volcano. But last year, I finally started. I realized how great it is and how much I've been missing out by not doing it. And now I'm here to share that knowledge with you, because weirdly, there's not a lot of videos on it. Yes, you can do them at home. But the thing a lot of people disregard is that paintings are 3D objects, brushstrokes have texture. Just looking at a picture online, you are missing out on a lot of really, really good, helpful detail. Doing studies in person has a ton of benefits. Being in an art space surrounded by people looking at art sort of forces your brain to acknowledge the fact that you're in it to win it, and you're able to keep focus for a much longer period of time. I find it extremely helpful as a person with ADHD. Great way to force your brain to actually do art instead of playing Tetris for 3 hours. To make this work, you'll need a bag and some kind of art supply. I use an iPad because it's incredibly convenient, but any sort of dry, non-messy medium will work fine. That being said, simplicity's your friend here. Don't bring paints. Some additional supplies that are helpful, something to take photos with, a map of the museum, they usually have those for free at the front desk. Some earbuds are also nice if, like me, you can't function for 5 minutes without auditory stimulation. Here's, I think, where most people make a mistake. Figure out what you want to study first. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time wandering around aimlessly, copy a couple paintings that you just kind of liked, and not learn a single thing. Pick one thing to study. Find some artists who do that one thing in a way that you really like. Figure out how they're doing it, and then replicate it in a study. Later on, try to replicate what you learned from imagination. This is one of the tricks to learning super quickly. For instance, on this trip, I wanted to study color and brushstroke placement on the planes of the face. So I didn't really spend a lot of time in the abstract textile section, though it was really cool. I beelined for Sargent. What I'd do is I'd find a painting I'd like, I'd take a picture of it so I could have a reference image to work from later if I wanted to continue the piece once outside of the museum. I'd do a bit of studying, and then I'd find a position that I could hold for a while and start drawing. Here's a rapid series of positions that tend to work for me, sitting and standing. Sitting's easier, a bit more comfortable, but you can make standing work as long as you're shifting your weight relatively regularly so you don't injure your back, and making sure that you're not blocking other patrons from looking at the art. That's just polite. I also make sure to take a lot of breaks and drink water. Your health is important. Don't end up with carpal tunnel at like age 15 like I did. There are 2 main worries that I had while doing this. Worry number 1, somebody will perceive me and start trying to talk to me. Honestly, I don't know why I was worried about this. It has never happened. People are there to look at art. They're not there to look at you. Only the most socially oblivious people will come up and try to talk to you. And if they do, a quick, sorry, focusing on this, enjoy the museum, will banish them to be social elsewhere. Worry number 2, a security guard might see you and you'll get in trouble. Most museums are completely fine with sketching with pencil and paper and will say so. I've gotten away with the iPad and I've seen people with markers and pens and highlighters and all that, so if you're discreet about it, you'll be fine. If a security guard does ask you to stop, just apologize, put your stuff back in your bag, and then either go to another area or wait till the security guard leaves the area that you're currently in. I've never been kicked out of a museum or punished, and I've never seen anybody else be kicked out of the museum for doing that either. True story, the last time a security guard caught me, she told me I could keep doing what I'm doing as long as I'm a little bit more discreet about it. Now that's an ally. Let's talk about my actual museum trip. I started off with some quick warm-ups using some Georgia O'Keeffe landscape paintings, because she had some great brush strokes and a great use of complementary colors, and I thought that it'd be a great way to warm up. I just sat on a bench away from other people and just slapped these out. I recommend starting with something simple first. It is really helpful to kind of get the flow of things. The next painting I did was a Singer Sargent. As I mentioned earlier, I was focusing on the planes of the face, so I didn't do the full painting. I just did kind of the neck up. I was focusing kind of on the shapes he was using, on the colors, just generally trying to get the vibe. This next one was one by Henry. Not a lot to say about it, honestly. I just like the use of like really bright contrasting red on that painting. I think it looks really nice, like that little pop around the eyes. So I really wanted to get that down. Since I was trying really hard to just focus on the modeling and the shading of the face, I actually did 3/4 views for all of the faces that I study here, because I wanted to more directly compare them without having things like different angles or different light sources to get in the way. And here's the third painting. I'll go back in and find out what these paintings are later. After that, I kind of wanted to get an idea of the actual 3D planes of the face and not so much the 2D representations of them. So I looked at a couple of sculptures of women, and I did a similar study using a 3/4 view of this statuette that I found. I took several pictures of this statue because I really liked it. It's quite gorgeous. And looking at how the cheeks and things like that sort of sloped and cast shadows was very, very helpful. It was a way for me to kind of look at the shading of the face without worrying about any of the color. So then I could compare the two back to back and see, hey, here's this, there's that. Then this last painting that I did a study of was kind of a challenge to myself because it was a little bit out there. The artist used like this incredibly saturated but also like very faded color palette. So I did that one as kind of a challenge to myself to kind of see if I could apply what I had learned to this face as well. It was kind of cool. I liked it. So there you go. 7 studies done in about 3 hours while I was wandering around my local museum. And I definitely learned a lot about how the skin works, because here's a sketch that I did completely from imagination a couple of days later, trying to recall how the face was sort of shaded and set up. And I had a much easier time figuring this out than I did on an earlier drawing with more or less the exact same subject. Does this look amazing? No, not really, but it's better than it would have been previously. And that's what's important. Congratulations! Now you too are an expert in doing studies in museums. Go forth, learn, draw, and become unspeakably powerful. In the meantime, if you liked this video or you'd like to see something else, leave a comment down below. I read all of them, and I love seeing them. And hey, if you really enjoyed, creep on over to that sub sandwich and join our art club. I post every couple of weeks, so you don't have to worry about me flooding your feed or anything. It's a chill time. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. This water bottle really is like the exact shade of my green screen. That's hilarious. This is the 3rd time I've tried to record. This is the 4th time I've tried to record this clip. Stuff just keeps going wrong. Anyway, well, you know what? If I wasn't recording anyway, I'm gonna fix my lighting.